welcome back, and thanks for tuning in and watching the Cypress Sports Show, brought to you by Coach's Corner, your go-to spot before and after the game. I'm Jeff Russell here with Mark Slevcove. Today is the 50th anniversary sports special. It's unbelievable. 50 years of Cypress High School history coming at you today. We are going to welcome football coach Jeff Crooks back to the program. We'll check in with Sean Pfeiffer in our segment, Would You Rather? Pretty interesting one this time. We'll get an update, of course, on our sports from last week. Coach, football had a tough week without Aiden Houston playing with his injury. What do we have for the update for this week?
That's right. The football team lost last Friday night to Lawndale, 14-0. I can't remember the last time we've been completely shut out. It's been a while, I think. Tough offensive night for the boys without several starters, including our starting quarterback, Aiden Houston. That forced some newcomers to come in and take the spot of some regulars, and we couldn't quite put up the points. Centurions have dropped now to number 15 in the county, according to the Register. The girls' flag football team walloped Western 35-6 last week, spreading the ball around. Many girls scored touchdowns. The girls moved to 2-2 before falling to Esperanza on Tuesday. That Esperanza team, an old league foe, a future conference opponent, along with another game this week, El Dorado, on Thursday, before playing in the LA Rams Jamboree at Loyola Marymount this Saturday. Girls volleyball team suffered a sweep to Sunny Hills last Wednesday. The girls needed to regroup and refocus this week with league opening against Pacifica and Kennedy. And in the opening league game versus Pacifica on Tuesday, we swept them 3-0. Way to go, ladies. Boys water polo team traveled to Buena Park last Wednesday and defeated them in a double overtime golden goal situation in which senior captain Nathan Burgess scored the decisive goal. This week they take on Fountain Valley and Esperanza. Good luck, fellas. Girls tennis team continued their hot start this season after victories over El Dorado and La Quinta last week. This week they take on Edison and Orange Lutheran. Girls golf opened league Tuesday versus Crean Lutheran. Despite even par rounds by Catherine Gerbing and Tanya Maheshwari, the girls came up just a little bit short with a score of 198 to 202. They have a non-league contest versus Diamond Bar yesterday on Wednesday, and a fun event on Monday coming up at the Walnut Tournament. And in cross country, they had their first event, the Rosemead Invitational. The boys team performed well, taking 12th place out of 60-something teams. Elliot Yee clocked a 15:56, good for 9th overall for sophomores. Isaiah Garmer ran a 16:06. McCovey Jackson with the 16:20 to round out our top 3. And we had our top 6 boys in the 16 minutes, so that's pretty good showing. The girls were in the middle of the pack, 34th place with Alexis Higa and Stephanie Payne pacing the way for the ladies. They'll race again this Saturday at the Woodbridge Invitational at the OC Great Park.
Yeah, Coach, maybe we have some future athletes we'll be talking about, well, maybe not us, but at the 100th anniversary that are here now with us. But 50th anniversary, Coach, it's a pretty crazy time, right? I mean, you were right getting feedback. You put stuff out onto Facebook, right, and Instagram to try to get some feedback from people about, hey, who are your favorite athletes, and what did you find? What did we hear?
All right, well, you were right about Instagram being all recent comments. Greatest athletes are people who graduated just last year. We got our current students following Instagram, and on Facebook, man, we got lit up by the 70s, 80s, and 90s with some great feedback from our alumni. It was pretty awesome to hear. So if you were a 70s kid, we've heard the name like Emily Dole, Mount Fuji, the old shot put legend at Cypress High and professional wrestler who graduated in 1975, went on to fame there. I know she became a friend of yours just a few years ago.
Yeah, she reached out and got in touch with us, and we had some really good conversations at that time with her, and it was nice to bring her back into the Cypress family after being apart for a little bit.
That's right. And she's still the shot put record holder for Cypress High from way back in 1975. Other names like Brian Rayner, Robin Rice, the Teasley brothers, Tony Pascarella, and Carl Mabin. Those names came up. Coach Charles Williams jumped in. You guys all know Coach Charlie. threw in some guys like Chris Grignano, Sean Blair, his good friend Bob Granadino. Those names got thrown around. You remember any of those guys?
Oh, yeah, all of them.
How about basketball big man Jeff Fagan? His name got brought up. He still is the record holder for rebounds.
Yeah, he still comes to games, too, every once in a while. You'll see him at a basketball game.
Sticking with the 70s still, Mike Charles, Tony Landry, Dave Wilson, mid-70s football players and wrestlers. How about quarterback Steve Alatorre? I remember hearing that name, 1977, went on to play at Tennessee, I believe. You remember him?
No, I don't.
All right, well, let's jump to the 80s. Some swimmers were given some love. People like Sharon O'Brien, well, actually she was still 70s, as well as all-around athlete Roxy Bardwell. And then speaking of swimmers, the great Jim O'Brien. His name is still in the record books. I remember being in high school and swimmers trying to chase down Jim O'Brien's records in the 80s, and they're still trying to chase him down. That's a name that lives on forever on that pool deck. Jeff Hedrick as well from the early 80s.
Yeah, and how about some we've had family members go through here, right? The Fletcher brothers, the Fenton brothers, Weinberg sisters, right? And Nicole's currently our soccer coach. Father-son duo of Eric and Matthew Morrell. Father-daughter extraordinaire, Mike G and Tatum G. Tatum G, unbelievable soccer player. And Mike G, if you don't know, back in the day, unbelievable multi-sport athlete, football, baseball, soccer, great athlete when he was here.
And Mike G apparently was the 4th rated longboard surfer at one time in the world. So yeah, he's an all-around athlete, and his daughter certainly took after him. She was a stud on the soccer pitch. She ran track. She was MVP in track. She golfed, and then she went on to star at Princeton just a few years ago. So she was an awesome athlete to root for. The 80s had great representation, and a couple names kept popping up over and over and over again that stand out as maybe the best overall athletes from that decade: Blaze Bryant and Troy O'Leary, class of 87.
Yeah, when I jumped in the 80s, got here, those names were big names on campus, and they were always like, these guys really set the tone for what's going on. But in the 80s too, don't forget Coach Steiner. Coach Steiner there in the 80s. Coach Steiner making it in 3 sports, right? Football, he played soccer, he played baseball. Great athlete as well.
And the homecoming king.
Homecoming king.
The 80s also had our first CIF championship with the girls softball team, 1983. They got some love on Facebook. Their pitcher was star April Stiles on the mound. And then someone else, 1988 grad, and she became the University of Iowa Hall of Famer softball catcher Diane Pohl.
Yeah, I remember hearing her name all the time when it comes to softball. Definitely one of the greatest softball players we've had here.
And certainly much better athlete than her brother Chris, a 1992 grad. He did not make the list, but Diane Pohl's nephew Jackson is a senior here at high school who's a baseball player as well. And then one you're familiar with, the sport you're very familiar with, is debate over the best boys basketball player. I know we've had some debates in the past. We've had debates with other coaches and players. Is it Dave Belshie, 1981, Chad Boberg, 1996, Matt Reed, 2002, Jimmy Jackson, 2012, or how about the great all-around athlete Eric Papke? I think he was 2019.
Yeah, all unbelievable players. I mean, I obviously got to coach Boberg and Reed and Jimmy. I didn't get to coach Dave Belshie, but he is a good friend of mine, and everybody that I hear tells me he's the greatest basketball player. He will never say it, but he was the leading scorer. No three-point line at the time. Was the leading scorer for most points for quite a long time. If he had a three-point line, he probably would still be the all-time leading point scorer. But the thing about him was his unselfishness. I hear everybody talking about how unselfish that guy is. And we heard that same thing about Eric Papke. I didn't get to coach him, but watching him out there, an unbelievable athlete, not just in basketball, but all sports. He didn't even play his best sport when he was here, for crying out loud. Unreal athlete.
Yeah, he was pretty phenomenal to watch on the court. Great vision. And then he had a great sidekick, or really the leader of the team, Jared Brown, the year before him, who went on to star at Westmont College and now playing professionally in Europe. And Dave Belshie, he only had 3 years here, right? He didn't even have a chance to play a 4th year because it was just a 3-year high school at the time. All right, turn the page to the 90s. Some names that I'm familiar with and names that kept seeming to stick, kept popping up. Bob Brito of the 90s, great football player. baseball player, class of 1996. He still holds many records in the baseball program, which has a storied history now. And then on the female side, we had great players like Jessica Eggleston, Lupe Nava, or softball players, Krista Sadin, Monica Jimenez. But there's one that could do it all and do it better than anybody else in any of the sports: volleyball, basketball, softball. She lettered in 3 sports all 4 years of high school. That's Julie Adams, class of 1995, who went on to become an All-American star at UCLA softball, national champion, UCLA Hall of Fame. I think she, I don't know for sure, but she may take the cake on the female side.
She's definitely up there. I mean, we have had some great female athletes, but her ability to play those sports, and not just play them, but really dominate in all of the sports that she played in, really may set her apart as the best. I'm sure there's going to be arguments against it, but I think she's right there. And she's been on our show, right?
She's been on our show.
I mean, that definitely catapults her way to the top.
All right, how about the 2000? Let's go there. Great athlete Clarence Moore won a CIF title in the triple jump and then played in the NFL, class of 2000. That's a pretty impressive athlete. David Napper, who ran laps around people in cross country and track, class of 2003.
I remember Dave Napper running around the track, and I swear he must have stole something and was running from the police, because he ran faster than any person I've ever seen around the track, and he just kept doing it. It just never stopped. He just kept running around. I mean, it was unbelievable how fast he could run.
Yeah, he's got some really fast times, still in the record book. People are still chasing him. Not even mentioning 2 first-round picks, Scott Moore, Josh Vitters, top 10 picks in the Major League Draft. Great female athletes, CIF champion Stephanie Torres, track athlete Liana Fuentes, who went on to star at Arizona.
Not only did she star at Arizona, she then switched sports. This is how great of an athlete she is. Decided she was going to be a golfer, picked up the game, became the long drive champion. How does she do that? Unreal athlete.
It's called athleticism, Coach.
Yeah,
athleticism.
We don't know much about it.
All right, how about class of 2012? We had great debate. I remember this. We were debating who would be the CHS Athlete of the Year. Would it be Jimmy Jackson, a 3-time All-CIF member in basketball, Bud Rivera, All-County football player, or Paul Yu, CIF champ, state placer, 3rd place in wrestling? Do you remember who won?
Paul Yu.
How'd you know that? You remember that. That's pretty good.
Paul Yu, man, unreal wrestler. That was such a hard year. I mean, when we look at that and we get people to give their opinions, any one of them, I mean, I wish they all could have been, but man, oh man, what an unbelievable class.
He loved to walk around without a shirt on, too.
I didn't notice.
How'd you miss his muscles? All right, who can forget the legend of Quentin Pounds, class of 2015? Talk about athletes, 3-sport athlete, football, basketball, CIF champ in the high jump, phenomenal athlete. And then as we round out the last few years, we think about people like Isaac Hurtado, the great soccer player and star at Michigan now, Anaya League, or recently 2023 graduate, Orange County Registers Athlete of the Year, Matthew Morrell, and maybe our best volleyball player ever in Zoe Henson, 2023 grads.
Yeah, Anaya League, go back to her, right? Soccer, she could run track, she played basketball.
That's right, freshman year, basketball varsity, yep.
I mean, unbelievable, unreal.
All right, well, I know that was a lot of names, but I know we've probably missed some athletes over the years, but it was sure fun to see some alumni contribute to this long list, this thread of athletes and accomplishments from all the decades of our 50 years. Let us know who we missed in the comments on YouTube or on Instagram. Who'd we forget? Who'd we leave out? Who should be on that list also?
Yeah, hopefully we'll be checking in with some of them as well, right? We want to talk to some of those former athletes. We want to see if we can meet up with people that were on campus back in the day and see how things were for them and kind of relate to some of the kids that were here. Maybe we can get, the first football touchdown score on the show.
That's right.
Maybe. We'll see. But speaking of athleticism, I mean, this guy, off the charts. It's time to check in with Mr. Athletic Director, Mr. 5'4", in a Subs and Grubs segment. Would you rather? Sean, what do we have this week?
Guys, what a great time to be at Cypress, be a part of Cypress Athletics, right? Hearing those names, hearing you guys go through the 80s especially, a little young, a little too far back for the 70s, right? Hearing those names, Blaze, Bryant, Troy, O'Leary, right? Mike G's been driving the same van for 40 years, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, great stories. It's a very storied campus, and I'm very proud to be a part of it, right? We had a great time too, right? It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas almost, but it's anniversary time here at Cypress High School. If you're around, come out Saturday to the gymnasium. There's a big event, open house. Come check it out. Our homecoming dance is that night, right? That'll be after the game. We'll be recovering from a win, I'm sure. This week, we went out and asked, would you rather be at Cypress High School when it opened or be at Cypress High School right now, right? So we had a series of questions. Instead of asking you guys, well, what's your favorite memory? What's your favorite memory when you were a student here at Cypress? What stands out to you? What do you remember, Coach?
There's so many, but I think just being in athletics, just that camaraderie, meeting with your team, going to battle with them day in, day out of practice and games, and then going to those events, right? Going to the football games and supporting your friends at those games and going to basketball games and screaming and yelling and those things. I mean, those things really stick out to me. And then, of course, just great teachers. I mean, I still remember some of my teachers from back then. Miss Oliveris was an English teacher, Mr. Reed, a science teacher, and then, of course, our baseball coach, Don Orr, and then baseball coach, my mentor, Don Orr, and my baseball coach, Don Rail. Both made tremendous impacts on my life.
Thanks for sharing, man. How about you?
I'm going to stay out of the athletic arena this time. Normally I think of athletics, but I can think of our assistant principal when I was in school was Mr. Freed, Norm Freed. I remember him being out there at lunch, at the lunch tables, teaching us how to play cards. He's a poker player, and we learned some tricks of the trade from Mr. Freed at lunchtime in the quad. That's pretty cool. And then I was a member of the yearbook staff, and Mr. Herrick and Miss Grady, they created an awesome environment for students to be involved in ASB and yearbook and PAL and so many things and clubs on campus. Some of those late night deadlines that we had to meet in the 300 building, running around, stressful until it's done, and we're goofing off and running around in the hallways. That was always a fun, memorable experience.
Great memories, guys. Love it. We hit staff up and students up. Would you rather hit them with a bunch of questions, and this is what we got. Cypress, we're here with Dave Brunet, legendary class of '87. Matthew Baldonado, football player extraordinaire. Taylor, another great game. Good job.
Thank you.
We're here with our flag football coach, Coach Kruger. Cypress grad, right? 1991?
1991.
91, wow. Catherine and Tanya, golf team extraordinaire, right? 4. Here we are with our athletic trainer, Marcy. Marcy, Cypress grad. With Mr. Harry, he is our psychology teacher extraordinaire. AP Euro, graduate of Cypress High School.
Yes, indeed.
So you know a little something about Cypress High School,
I do
right?
know a little something about Cypress.
We're gonna play Would You Rather. Would you rather go to the school in the 70s when the school opened, or now?
Probably back then. It looked like everyone liked each other more, and there wasn't any drama.
Oh, 73.
Really, why?
I think the rules were a little looser then.
Oh, rules.
Yeah.
Coach doesn't like rules.
70s.
Would you rather have smartphones and social media, or would you rather go to school without?
Without.
Wow.
Without the technology.
Really?
I like having my phone. I'd rather go with social media and cell phones.
do. We're all surprised.
So the practice gym took the place of racquetball courts. Would you rather have the practice gym here or racquetball courts?
I actually had racquetball first period in maybe 1989. I gotta go racquetball courts. That was one of my classes.
I'm with you, Coach. I'm with you.
I don't remember the racquetball course. I'm gonna say practice gym.
Oh, you're a baby then.
Practice gym. That was just a smokeout session over there.
It probably was. Would you rather have been part of the first graduating class or the 50th graduating class now? Be a senior right now.
Be here as
Perfect.
now.
Now's it,
Now.
man. Now's in. Would you rather have an open campus? Get to leave at lunch, or would you rather be corralled in here at lunch?
Open campus.
Open campus.
Open campus.
Yeah.
Open campus.
Where would you go? Coach's corner.
Open campus.
Open campus.
Yeah, like where I can leave, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, open campus.
Yeah, go get terrible food off campus somewhere. Would you rather take auto shop, drafting, those types of classes, or would you rather take the CTE courses we have now?
Culinary arts, video production.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd go culinary arts.
Really?
And the digital. I like that.
Drafting and auto shop, had them both.
Perfect.
See, to me, I think all of the vocational classes, both what we have now and what we had then, are great. I wish we had more. I wish we hadn't lost all those vocational classes, but to me, they shouldn't be at the expense of the new ones. we should have both.
Would you rather walk by that ugly security fence up front or walk by that old 1970s smoking student section over there by the cafeteria?
The student section.
You'd rather walk by that?
Oh,
all the smoking?
Oh,
and
the
stuff?
smokers?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm walking by the ugly fence every day. Come on.
I'll go with the fence.
Get your head in the game. Come on.
No, the fence.
Not the smoking section.
So the fence.
No,
You'd rather walk by the
yeah.
fence. I agree, right?
The ugly fence. Ugly fence.
Good for you. Your parents will be proud. Photo class with the dark room or photo class with digital technology?
Digital processing.
Digital shop.
Digital.
For sure.
The darkroom that used to exist wasn't really great. It was not very big. But if you had a really good darkroom for kids who wanted to shoot real film and learn about that, I think that'd be really cool. And then still having the computers. Again, I think both would be better.
That's right. Would you rather drive to school in a 1973 Volkswagen bus or the 2023 new version of the Volkswagen bus? Have you seen them? They're pretty sweet.
I have not.
They look like toasters on wheels, though.
I'm gonna go the old school.
The new electric ones?
Yeah, the new ones.
Oh yeah, the electric ones.
Oh, you like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like a rolling iPad. It looks pretty cool, right?
I would probably choose the vintage on that one. Although you have to make sure you're never in a hurry to get anywhere.
That's right. Or go uphill.
Or go uphill, yes. It's very slow.
Would you rather have been a teammate with Coach Feldman or rather be coached by him in a football game?
I like Feldman as a coach. He's a really good coach.
Teammate of his, because I was a ball boy when he played here.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, you're old. Thanks.
I'd rather be his teammate.
Thanks.
All right, Pfeiffer, always bringing the goods. Coach, we both went in different decades, right, to Cypress. I just graduated a couple years ago. You were like 25 years ago. But
Yeah.
what do you think? Easier time back then, easier time now? I tend to think I like it back then, a little easier.
Yeah, I don't know if the classes are easier or harder. Certainly homework has changed, but probably the societal pressures are greater now. The social media, all the devices certainly creates a different feeling for kids, different needs for kids. But yeah, I think the 90s were pretty good.
Yeah. Coach Crooks, also in the 90s. Thanks for being here again this week.
Yep, thanks for having me. I'd definitely say back then was a lot easier than now. Just like Slevcove said, the technology and everything. I still remember after school, after practice, calling mom on the payphone we had right in front of the gym.
Yeah.
You know, when it, collect, and then, hey mom, come pick me up, and hang up.
I did the
So
same
then you
thing.
got a phone call
I
from,
did the
hey mom,
same
come
thing.
pick me up, or the pager, we had pagers
yeah.
back then. So
Oh, yeah.
the distractions now the kids go through, I can't imagine doing that as an athlete and as a student. So I'd definitely say back then.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the big thing, there was no texting, right? There wasn't that, well, at least when I was there.
We were writing notes. We were
Writing
passing
notes,
notes.
right? You pass a note
Yeah.
to someone, hey, give this to Shirley, give this to whoever, right? That was crazy time
Yep.
as well. Any other good memories that you have from when you were an athlete at Cypress, homecoming, football games? What are your great memories from being here?
Well, great memories is obviously homecoming week, special week. Our year we won homecoming, we beat Kennedy. So that was a double whammy, for that. And then biggest memory probably was our senior year also too. We won league for the first time in 20 years. So last time we won in 1998. So last time we won in 78. So that was a huge accomplishment. So that's one thing that look back and real thing that we really proud of.
Yeah, and when we played Kennedy back in those years, I mean, the crowd was packed.
It was
And,
packed.
I mean, all the way around the track, and we need that this week, right?
Yep.
Homecoming week, we got to get people out to the games. That atmosphere, when you have that many people around the track, filling the stands, nothing better, right?
Nothing better. It's unreal. It brings that environment, just like a small town environment. Just everybody, the town closes down, everybody comes to the game. It's important, right? That's what we need this week. So we need the support.
That's right. It took 20 years to win a league championship before you came. Then it was 10 years after that, and now we're is it 4 in a row?
Now it's
5 in a row.
four in a row.
We're
Going
gonna
for
go
five.
for 5.
Going for 5.
And you were a quarterback in high school, league MVP quarterback, 1998 Empire League.
Yep.
And now you're coaching, and you're coaching on the defensive side of the ball, but you're coaching against quarterbacks all the time. What's the difference between the kids and the quarterbacks today, with more football being played year round? What's the difference between 20 years ago and now?
I think more when I played back then, it was more the West Coast offense veer option, So it's the dual threat option of triple threat of run pass option type scheme. West Coast typical drop back play action pass. Now it's the spread. Now you have basically quarterbacks that are hybrid receivers that can throw but also can run. So now you have that dual threat of West Coast just reading the one guy, throwing the ball and going and stuff, a lot more RPOs. It's just fast paced where you don't really see much under center, you know.
It's fast paced, except we've commented that we think like there's definitely more throwing. So the games are they're longer in general as well, because we're not just handing it off and powering people over.
Yeah. I mean, true. I mean, it's really just picked up, no huddle tempo, how many plays you can get a game. Some offenses are averaging 75 plays a game, you know. When we played, I mean, it was just hard-nosed football, down, smash mouth, pass the ball here and there, get a couple guys, and just get after it. But it's totally evolved.
How would you have done as an RPO quarterback?
I think I would have done well, right? I actually, it evolved when I got my scholarship and played at Eastern Michigan. We evolved it to that spread offense. So it was kind of easy to grasp and understand, and then take over and do that. So it wasn't really much of a change from the West Coast to your veer option. It was just now you're back from center, you're reading the guy from depth instead of underneath center, and you're playing catch and just throwing everything, you know, it's fast paced, taking everything that they give you.
It's been a while since I've seen you run, but did you run like Aiden Houston?
Not as fast as him, but still was a 1,000-yard rusher, quarterback, and 2,000-yard passer, so senior year. So that was an accomplishment. So yes, I did have some wheels.
I still remember back to the how well do you know, what position did he play? Everybody said like
lineman, yeah. Metabolism slows down after playing. So
Aiden Houston, obviously, he's that kind of player, right?
Yes.
He's got a bunch of threats that he has, and we were without him last week. Tough for us to move the ball. Are we making some changes? Is he available this week? Are we making some changes, doing some things different, or do we just say this is what we do and we're just going to be sharper at it now that we've had essentially a week without him?
Well, we're still game time decision for Aiden, so we want to make sure that he's completely healthy before we put him in and stuff. Still looking at some other keys. You know, Tim Carey came in and it's in a tough situation, you know, and did what he can do, and he showed a lot of positive glimpses and stuff. So, you know, that we're looking at other guys too, as well as in Kai, you know, transferring from receiver to quarterback as well, and maybe looking at Albert too. So we're just trying to find the right fix to kind of mold in and build what we need to do to make sure we can move the ball.
Defensively for them, when you look at their defense, do you see things that we can exploit maybe a little bit on that offense even without Aiden?
Their defense is a lot like ours. They're small, they're fast, they get after it, they blitz, they cause havoc. They, you know, watching film against Shore Belinda, they did a lot of good schemes against their O-line and stuff. So we've been repping during practice to make sure that we can kind of mimic what they do and stuff, because it's kind of what we already do as a defense for us. So we're just trying to get going in the right direction and make sure that we can just get things taken care of up front so we can move the ball.
Tesora's always been a really good football team, a tough team to play. I don't think we've ever played them as far back as I can remember. I think they're 14th in the county this week with the register. We dropped to 15th. Who are their key guys, and what are some of the keys for us to bring home a victory on homecoming night?
Well, for us, we have their offense is also they're a mix of spread and power I. So we just have to find their tight end in Todd Nelson and make sure that he'll be lined up either out flank, you know, as a receiver, or he'll come in at times. So they really don't do substitution. So that's the hard thing, is you can't really get a grasp on, all right, they got this personnel coming in, we're going to be in this defense. So as a defense, the key, what we've been really working at, just finding Nelson, the tight end, seeing where he lines up, and then these are our checks based on what kind of formations they do. They also have a bruiser in Travis Wood, running back. Probably another good guy. You know, the guy we faced last week, Londell, was good, and I thought our defense did a great job of bottling him up. This kid's a bruiser that's coming up this week. So they're in the South Coast League. I mean, they play San Clemente, Mission Viejo, and stuff. So it's not another easy game for us, not an easy homecoming game. It's something that we have to really work hard on and stuff. And they have a good quarterback too. So, I mean, it's going to be another tough challenge for us, and we just got to make sure that we stay healthy and get ready for league.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the games that, for homecoming, I would say is a step up. Like, typically we would try to get somebody, you know, maybe we could probably beat most every day.
You would think.
But this one is not one of those
No.
guaranteed
Well, it
games.
coincides with our 50th anniversary,
It does.
which was
And
why
which
we
is huge.
did it.
Of course, but it's one of those games where we're gonna have to put a lot in to be able to get that,
Yeah.
and without Aiden, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
It could have been 1992 as well when we took on Esperanza, who I think was national champs that year, and
Yeah.
co-CIF champs with Los Alamitos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have faith in our offense. I know they've been getting back to the drawing board and putting in a good scheme to make us successful this week. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
Nice. All right. Well, hey, thanks again to Coach Crooks for being here. Thanks to our sponsors, Subs and Grubs and Coach's Corner. Make sure you get out to those businesses and support them. Remember, this week is homecoming. You've been there for the last couple. If you've been at the home games, you know there's not a lot of parking. It is difficult. This week, 50th anniversary, right? We're celebrating that. We're celebrating homecoming. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to be late either. Get there early. Please get there early. Grab your tickets on GoFans so that you can get in quickly and get your spot inside the stadium. With that, thanks again for watching. We look forward to seeing you all again at the game and next week.